International Human Resource Management, Orienting and Training Employees for Global Assignment. Hello student, welcome to the lecture on Orienting and Training Employees for Global Assignments, and after this lecture, we will be able to learn the following objectives. Understand the action learning and the experimental approach, discuss about organizational learning, describe the orienting employees for global assignment, understanding the types of cross-cultural training. Introduction. Let's start with a brief introduction to the topic orienting and training employees for global assignments. Training is a learning process directly tied to specific situational result. In the case of training, the focus is usually based on improving individual and group behavior and performance and a result to the organization. There are several trends in expatriate training and development. First, rather than providing only pre-departure cross-cultural training, more firms are providing continuing in-country cross-cultural training during the early stages on overseas assignment. Second, employers are using returning managers as resources to cultivate the global mindsets of their home office staff. Orienting employees for global assignment. Orientation or induction is the task of introducing the new worker to the organization and its procedures, policies, and rules. A typical formal orientation program can last a day or less in most of the organization. During this time, the new worker is provided with information regarding the company, its history, its present position, the advantage for which he is suitable, leave rules, rest periods, and so on. In addition to honing functional skills, international management development also foster improved control of global operation by building a unifying corporate culture. The assumption here is that the firm should bring together managers from its far-flung subsidiaries and steep them for a week or two in the firm's cherished values and current strategy and policies. Orientation programs. Socialization and orientation programs play an important role in socializing employees. Effective socialization and orientation programs focus on providing the employee with a broad understanding of the history of the company, the company goals, and day-to-day interpersonal relationship as well as performance requirements. Effective socialization programs results in employees who have strong commitment and loyalty to the company, which reduces turnover. Orientation involves familiarizing new employees with company rules, policies, and procedures. Typically, a program includes information about the company, the department in which the employee will be working, and the community. Effective orientation programs include active involvement of the new employee. To learn the orientation content, new employees need social network that provide both information and the feeling that the new employee is an important part of the company. Onboarding refers to the orientation process for newly hired managers. It gives new managers an introduction to the work they will be supervising and an understanding of the culture and operations of the entire company.
When you're new on a job, the workplace can seem like a strange, confusing place. All those new faces seem to be staring at you. And there are all those new things to learn. We want to help you cut down on the anxiety. We're going to talk about important human resources topics that every employee needs to know to have an enjoyable, safe, and hassle-free work experience. We'll look at teamwork, customer service, diversity, preventing sexual harassment, drug-free workplace, preparing for an emergency, personal security, preventing workplace violence, personal wellness, and dealing with change. Let's start by talking about teamwork. All successful teams have certain things in common. They share a common goal that they work towards. They work under specific deadlines for achieving results. Members communicate with each other and are concerned about each other. They stop from time to check the quality of their work. And they work to make certain every member gets involved. You're part of a team too. a team of professionals. Your success on the job starts with having the right attitude about your coworkers and your workplace. Your success or failure as part of a team and with a company can be determined by your attitude. To be successful, you need a positive attitude. What does that mean? Well, for starters, it means showing up for work, on time, every day. Your attendance is very important to your company. You're here for a reason, and when you're not, it hurts the team and the profitability of the company. Now, having a positive attitude also means being accountable for your actions, taking responsibility, having patience, and showing tolerance when things don't go your way.
Hey, Jeremy, can I ask you a favor?
You can ask.
I just got a big new order, but I'm still trying to finish up some other work. Could you take over for me for a little while I get started on the new job?
Look, just because you can't keep up with your job doesn't mean I gotta bail you out all the time. I got my own work to do.
Even though Jeremy did have his own work to do, he didn't bother to ask how long it would take to help out his fellow employee. Let's look at a better way to respond.
Hey, Jeremy, can I ask you a favor?
Sure.
I just got a new order, but I'm still trying to finish up some other work. Could you take over for me for a little while I get started on the new job?
Ooh, I don't know, I'm pretty busy. How long do you think it'll take?
About an hour.
Well, I can help you with part of it. Maybe we can get Janice to help with the rest.
Good idea, I'll ask her. Oh, thanks, I knew I could count on you.
Of course, not every team can operate perfectly all the time. Differences are inevitable. The key is to keep those differences from turning into destructive conflicts.
No, no, no! You are missing the mark here. You're going to waste a lot of time and money.
Well, if you're so smart, maybe you should just fix the whole thing yourself.
Yeah, maybe I should. You don't seem to know what you're doing.
How could the situation have been handled better? Let's take a look.
I can tell you've put a lot of hard work into this. It's really starting to take shape.
Yeah, it has been a lot of work.
Can I make a couple of suggestions that might save even more time?
Sure, go ahead.
Well, have you thought about maybe moving these parts over to cell 3?
I had thought of that, but I thought it would work better over here so it wouldn't tie up the transporter. But I'm willing to give it a try.
In this second example, both employees disagreed in a way that probably made things better. They kept the disagreement from turning into a destructive conflict. One way you can do that is by voicing your opinions in ways that won't make others defensive. If a conflict does occur, it should be about something important, and it should occur in a way that brings a positive outcome. When everybody works to make that happen, it makes the workplace more productive and more enjoyable.
Approaches to training. Role of training. Great news is that it's recognized that the right mix of knowledge, skills and attitudes or behaviors helps a job holder to perform tasks successfully. Organization try to achieve this by proper selection of personnel, that is choosing the right person for the right job, and human resources development through training intervention, helping them to learn in order to bridge the performance gap, if any, and make them more proficient. The component of development may also be added to this process. In order to achieve its overall goal of performance improvement, training must lead to the enhancement of professional knowledge and skills both at individual and collective levels. It should also equip personnel to respond appropriately to emerging challenges. Training should also bring about appropriate changes in attitudes and should strive for that unique synthesis between improvement of the individual competencies and promotion of organization objectives. Identifying training needs. Any training strategy has to first identify the target groups and assess the training needs. In the context of precursor control issues in the SARS region, the following groups of people have been identified as suitable targets for training: law and policy makers, drug law enforcement officers, narcotics laboratory personnel, management and staff of precursor chemical industry and trade, trainers from the above services. Since the precise training needs of each of these groups differ from those of others both in content and focus, they should be analyzed using proven instrument for training needs analysis. Aim and training objectives. After identifying the training needs, one needs to formulate the aim of training and set training objectives. Aim links training design to the training needs. Aims are of little value in designing the actual training because they do not give sufficient information about what the learners will learn during their training and even further, what they will be able to do on completion. This requires formulation of objectives. Training design. Designing training program is an important component of systematic approach to training. It should be designed enlisting active participation of the personnel at varying levels. Program design must bear the stamp of being custom made to achieve specific objectives of the individuals or groups as the case may be. Emphasis on a particular purpose may, however, vary from program to program depending upon factors such as the type of audience, level of participants, and so on. Designing training programs involves determining the level of participants, identifying the resource persons, and selecting appropriate methods and techniques for training. Any program designed for training of trainers (TOT) should have a component to enhance the instructional skills of the participants and another to impart knowledge and enhance skills in the subject matter. Training methods. A judicious mix of one or more methods should be adopted to suit each training program. Some of the important training methods are enlisted below: lecture, discussion, case study, role play, sensitivity training, syndicate, brainstorming, computer assisted learning, exercise, business games, in-basket, on-the-job training, project work, programmed learning. Balanced content. A training program should not be too heavy so as to leave no time for the trainee to absorb the inputs. Neither should it be so light as to convey the impression that the training program is not a serious endeavor. The program should be stimulating enough but must leave time and opportunity for reflection. Access result. The final part of systematic training is therefore to use suitable measuring techniques to assess the quality of training provided, whether this result in improved performance, and whether the training was worth doing. At the end of the day, the training program is as good as the participants found it, and their feedback helps not only in evaluation of the training program but also helps improve future programs. Equally important for a trainee is to assess for himself how far he benefited from the training. For this purpose, organizer of a training program can conduct a test your ability exercise wherein participants in a precursor control training are given 20 to 25 objective type questions covering the key aspects of different sections which they are expected to answer within a specific time. Thereafter, the correct answer sheets are distributed to them so that the participant can assess their own performance. Systematic approaches to training. A systems approach ensures a comprehensive training process that remains focused on the needs of the organization. The process typically includes the phases: analyze the organization's needs and identify training goals which, when reached, will equip learners with knowledge and skills to meet the organization need. Design a training system that learners and trainers can implement to meet the learning goals. Typically includes identifying learning objectives which culminate in reaching the learning goals, needed facilities, necessary funding, course content, lessons and sequence of lesson. Develop a training package of resources and materials, including, for example, developing audio visuals, graphics, manuals, and so on. Implement the training package, including delivering the training, support group feedback, clarifying training materials, administering tests, and conducting final evaluation. Evaluate training, including before, during, and after implementation of training. Action learning and the experiential approach. Action learning is one of the methods effective programs use to help participants apply learning. Other formal approaches will include the line manager and the mentor. Action learning is based upon the concept of learning by reflection or reviewing on an experience. Action learning will help close the loop and ensure our learning is as effective as possible. More about learning cycles in Module 1. Action learning sets are primarily focused on the individual's learning. Action learning is an approach to the development of people in organization which takes the task as a vehicle for learning. It is based on the premise that there is no learning without action and no sober and deliberate action without learning. The method has three main components: people who accept responsibility for taking action on a particular issue, problems, or the tasks that people set themselves, and a set of 6 or so colleagues who support and challenge each other to make progress on problems. Action learning implies both self-development and organization development. Elements of an action learning program. All program is composed of the following elements: the set, the small group of 5 or 6 people who meet regularly and consistently, ideally once a month to every 6 weeks for a day, to work together in a supportive yet challenging way. The learning vehicle, the work focus, life, challenges or problems that each person focuses on during the program. The processes or ground rules that the set adopts when working. The all suggest a series of processes and rules that help defend the openness of the work and help ensure the depth of inquiry. A set advisor or facilitator to help the set develop, to ensure set processes are participated and to help members reflect on their learning, as well as ensure that there is a conducive environment for learning to take place. The duration, usually a minimum of 6 months, the emphasis on learning, which emerges both from working on particular issues or problems and from the working in the set itself. Basic principles and values in action learning. For all to work effectively and for its basic elements to flower freely, set members have to subscribe to and work with some basic principles and values. 3 key values are being honest with oneself and others. It is key to our own potential for learning in action learning work. If we are not self-aware and honest about our action, assumptions and mistakes, then our capacity for learning is limited and our view of problems will always be distorted. Respecting others and their viewpoint. Being honest with others while respecting them and their viewpoints is an essential precondition for building trust and openness in all group work. Without these values operating, the group cannot function as an effective learning group. Taking responsibility for our own actions. Taking responsibility for our own action both in work in the AL group and in the practice that we bring to the group is part of our being honest and self-aware and crucial for understanding our own role in problems and our possible ways forward. Organizational learning. The field of organizational learning explores ways to design organizations so that they fulfill their function effectively, encourage people to reach their full potential, and at the same time help the world to be a better place. Organizational learning focused originally on the practice of 5 core disciplines or capacities, of which system thinking forms the cornerstone. System thinking. System thinking is the art of seeing the world in terms of the whole and the practice of focusing on the relationship among the parts of a system. Team learning. Team learning is what happens when a group of people working on something together experiences that rare feeling of synergy and productiveness that happens when one in the group. Shared vision. Shared vision emerges when everyone in an organization understands what the organization is trying to do, is genuinely committed to achieving that vision, and clearly grasps how his or her role in the organization can contribute to making the vision real. Mental models. Mental models are the deep beliefs and assumptions that are whole about how the world works. These models shape the decision we make in life, the action we take in response to events, and the ways in which we interpret others' behavior. Personal mastery. Personal mastery is the art of identifying what mark one wants to leave on the world during his lifetime. That is, what is one's unique purpose in life and how does he wants to go about fulfilling that purpose. Types of cross-cultural training. The cross-culture training in general can be defined as any intervention aimed at increasing an individual's capability to cope with and work in foreign environment. It aims to develop awareness between people where a common cultural framework does not exist in order to promote clear lines of communication and better relationships. There are 2 basic types of cross-cultural training. Environmental briefings. This training provides information about things such as geography, climate, and housing. It introduces participants to the mindset and perspectives of interculturalists. Cultural orientation. This training program familiarizes the individual with cultural institution and value system of the host country. It enables participants to develop new behaviors and practical skills for productive interactions with colleagues and counterparts in and from specific other cultures. Need of cross-cultural training. Reduce the risk of conducting international business, gain a greater understanding of how culture impacts on business communication, make a success of our international assignment, develop new skills and strategies to manage, motivate and lead multicultural teams, become culturally competent in a complex international environment. Stages of cross-cultural training. Broadly, cross-cultural training can be classified in 3 different stages, namely cross-cultural awareness. Exposure to information about cross-cultural issues creates overview level awareness about other societies as well as the individual culture of the employee. Broadly, cross-cultural training can be classified in 3 different stages, namely cross-cultural education. It increases awareness of how companies in various countries and cultures manage their employees and projects. Cross-cultural coaching. This aims to bring about changes in thinking, attitude, and problem solving vis-a-vis cross-cultural issues. Cultural assimilators. Cultural assimilation is interpenetration and fusion of ethnic minorities into the dominant culture. In case of classical assimilation, immigrants and members of ethnic group are expected to come to reassemble the majority group in terms of norms, values, and behavior. Evolution of culture assimilators. There are 2 important characteristics of culture assimilators. One deals with its content, that is critical incidents, and the other with the learning process, that is isomorphic attribution. Flanagan noted that completeness and clarity are the 2 important characteristics of critical incidents. It should be noted here that individualism and collectivism could be used to capture the 4 emphases, that is cultural differences in attitudes, norms, values, and social context. Work or home. Cultural specific assimilators. The early culture assimilators were developed with a pair of cultures in mind, usually to prepare Americans to live in another culture. Cultural general assimilator. Triandus proposed a theoretical framework which consisted of 21 dimensions of cultural differences in social behavior for the development of culture assimilators. Culture general assimilator. Triandus proposed a theoretical framework which consisted of 21 dimensions of cultural differences in social behavior for the development of culture assimilators. He presented evidence that by using the framework, researchers could develop culture assimilators in a shorter time and argued that this framework compared to the traditional method could be used to develop culture assimilators more efficiently, in that an assimilator could be developed in about 1/3 of the time taken by the traditional method. Towards theory-based assimilators. To develop a theory-based assimilator, a parsimonious culture theory is needed that can explain many aspects of culture differences with meaning. Hostage presented 4 constructs, that is power, distance, masculinity, uncertainty avoidance, and individualism, that could be used to categorize cultures. Triandus and colleagues have developed a theory of individualism and collectivism that can be used both at the cultural and the individual or psychological level. Fiske has identified 4 universal patterns of social behavior, that is communal sharing, equality matching, marketing pricing, and authority ranking, that can be used to explain similarities and differences in culture. Summary. Now in the end, let us summarize what we have learned in this lecture. This study is interested in examining the relationship between employee orientation and training programs and the important business issues of employee turnover. The major steps in the construction of culture assimilators were described. They provide an apparently useful method for the instruction of members of one culture to behave effectively in social and task situations involving members of another culture. Employee orientation system involves 7 distinct yet interconnected and important steps. starting with hiring a new employee and ending with an evaluation of the system by new and established employees.